attempt to rescue our hostages.
We were literally just talking about that when you walked in. That's exactly what we're talking
What
about.
I'd like to do is read page 269 to 273 right into the record, and you will get this. This is as close to a copy, tape copy as my memory can make of a literal briefing that General Officer gave us after we returned from that mission. And it was highly classified at the time. I had no idea what the classifications. I don't even care, because the American people have a right to know what happened.
Well, we should get started.
So let's start at the beginning. I'm going to stay here for a little bit because I want to make sure this
Okay, so you want me to
this
do
is
the
going.
questions?
So yeah, why don't you start?
Okay, we are going to start right now. Okay, Mr. Bocher, first of all, thank you for sitting down with us. Let's start by just telling us your name, your rank, what division you served in, and the theaters you served in.
My name is Gordon L. Bocher, that's B-O-C-H-E-R, and for the record, just call me Box. Everyone messed up my last name, so I just shortened it to Box, B-O-X, made it easy. Okay, my rank when I was serving active duty was captain. In the reserves, after I left the reserves, I was promoted to major. And I served, my first term was from January 2nd, 1968 to April 7th, 1970. I left because I had cancer of the thyroid. I re-entered extended active duty in 10 November 1971, and I left active duty on 15 June 1980. That was my second tour. I was part of a recovering program to recover former cancer patients. When I left the Air Force the first time, I had 100% disability. I turned that in to go fly combat for my country.
And can you talk to us a little bit about what your life was like before you joined the service, where you were from, things like that?
Yeah, I was born and raised in New York. I went to school at Marietta College in Southern Ohio from September 1960 to June of 1964, and then I attended Ohio State Graduate School. At the time, when I was in graduate school from 64 to the beginning of 1967, is when the war really started to escalate. And if you remember back then, we had a two-tier draft system, which just bugged the hell out of me, pardon my French. It started to gnaw at me. I was getting exempted because I was in education, and these other poor schlubs who couldn't get what I was getting had to go fight in Vietnam. So at the end of 1966, I went to the draft board and made myself 1A, and simultaneously started investigating flying for the Air Force. And I was accepted into officer training school in 1967, and I swore my oath of allegiance, oath of office on 2 January 1968.
And can you tell us a little bit about that training experience? Or
Oh yeah, it was funny. We left Columbus, Ohio, because that's where I was living. That afternoon, that evening, about 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, and we didn't get to San Antonio until about 1 o'clock in the morning. And by the time I got my bunk and whatnot, it was like 2:30 in the morning. And so I immediately went to sleep. I was tired. The next thing I know, it's 5:30 in the morning, and some blankety blank is yelling, "Feet on the floor!" Tomorrow. Where's my cup of coffee? So yeah, that was my introduction to military life. It didn't take long to figure out, that you had to go along, get along, do what you had to do. And my roommate and I did not get along. He was a Southerner from Alabama, and I was a Northerner from New York, and we were just boiling water. But it didn't take us long to figure out that if we didn't work together, we would never leave that base. Because they've been on a demerit system, and you had to clean the room and do all sort of kind of stuff. So that system taught you to work with people that you would not normally want to be with. And it's a very good system. And it's very, very intense. You take a lot of coursework, and then you do physical training and marching in the afternoon. They gave you 8 minutes to eat a meal. 8 minutes.
Is it
Marched in
Lackland?
there. This was actually, I forget the name of the base. Lackland was the main one. This was a smaller one at Randolph Air Force Base, but basically the same deal. I just forget the name of the base. And you'd be surprised, not a lot of talking done when you only have 8 minutes to eat a meal. Now, the only exception was Sundays. Sundays you could take your time eating. But that was it. And the hardest thing for me was marching. I hate, to this day, I hate marching. But I practiced and practiced and practiced. I made myself good at it. And I graduated, distinguished graduate. Went on for pilot training at Laredo Air Force Base. And I washed out of there in about 5 months because my air work was not good. And so they sent me off to nav school at Mayfair Air Force Base. And Mayfair Air Force Base is, unfortunately it's closed now, but it was the best kept secret in the United States Air Force. It was, for a young guy, and we're talking late 60s, it was heaven on earth. Great weather, really good looking women, and I loved the program. It was just, so it was fun doing what you had to do. It was a lot of work. It was a year program, and I got out of there, and my first duty assignment was the 119 gunship, the C-119, the old flying boxcar. And quite frankly, the thing is a piece of crap. It was a piece of crap when they made it. It was a piece of crap all through the years, and didn't improve any.
Are they still using it?
No, God, no. Thank God they got rid of it. I flew, well, let me back up. Before I got to fly the 119, I had to go through survival school. And I was up in Spokane, Washington. That's an 8 or 9 day, 9 days, 10 maybe it was. And the last part of it is a 7.5 days out in the wild where they give you 1,500 calories and you have to survive for those 7 or 8 days. And they send you different places. You go from point A to point B to point C, and every day you're traveling 4 or 5 miles through some of the most horrendous, thick brush, no trails or anything. I mean, it's just all, it's all really just mountainous territory. And kind of a funny story with that. My roommate was with me, a guy named Andy, Captain Andy Steele, and his family grew up in the mountains. And this guy was the best outdoorsman I've ever met in my entire life. He knew more than the instructors do. So we made fishing line out of a parachute and some hooks that you made from the inner part of the chute. My whole element, we got together and fished for one day. We caught 16 fish. I caught one, somebody else caught another, and Andy caught 14, which he shared. On that particular, we caught and trapped and ate a chipmunk. That shows you how hungry we were. So it's just, so you finish that. During that time, I had an accident, small accident before we took the trek, and I had seen a flight surgeon, and he noticed a large lump in my neck, and he says that's got to be looked at. So he made me promise that before I left for Southeast Asia, I would have that looked at. So I get down to, make a very long story short, I do sea survival in Florida, and then we go to a small base in central Ohio where we got checked out on the basic 119 as a navigator, because you had to do that first, and that was a piece of cake. It was basic navigation. That's all they had anyhow. Nothing sophisticated. God knows. The thing was barely ocean going. And then we went to the gunship version, and since I was a junior officer, slickly navigated with very few hours. They put me as a sensor operator. We had a visual sensor that would look out, and that would actually physically aim the weapon system with a very, very basic computer.